Greetings and welcome to the Astrologicum. Perhaps you were drawn by fate to this place of learning, or perhaps you wish to know more of fate itself. Then you were wise to come hither, for in the stars are written the fates of every woman and man of Heidelin. It was there in the stars that I read a woman would call upon the Anatheum this very day, a woman who would play an important role in my own life. But my apologies. Even the most skilled reader cannot scry a name from the heavens. Would you be so kind as to give me yours, so that I might know who it is to be my newest protege? Tolucc. Well, I was not expecting that, but what is a name but an attempt by other begetters to wield power over the lives of their sons and daughters? Lives whose paths have already been foretold, in a sense that is. My name is Janicuar de Doridier, and I am an Astrologian for the Holy See. Remember that name, for it shall echo forevermore in the annals of Ishgardian history. Well, it will once I put it there. Once we put it there. Janicuar of the Anatheum Astrologicum simply cannot take his eyes off you. Now, where to begin? I suppose I could consult my divining deck for an answer, but that would be too easy now, wouldn't it? Very well, at the beginning it is. Astrology, or the reading of the stars, is a branch of ethereological science which originated in distant Charlian. There have been astrologians in Ishgard for thousands of years, but it wasn't until 3 centuries ago, when Adonal the Younger learned that the movement of the stars could also be used to foresee the movements of the Dravanian horde, that the field became popular. Since then, what was once a single science has bifurcated in 2 similar yet untimely different schools of learning, the Charlian school of astrology and the Ishgardian school, the former placing a focus on tapping celestial aether and transforming it into beneficial magics, or astromancy, the latter specializing solely in determining the actions of our dragon enemies to the north. I'm a student of the former, the only student of the former here in Ishgard, and have been actively seeking a partner with whom to conduct my research. Let us just say that my fellow astrologians have been less than approving of my path. But that is simply because they are afraid of what they do not know. Once they do know how Charlian astrology can benefit the sea and its soldiers, they will feel foolish for ever having doubted us. You will be joining me, will you not? Walking the path that has been laid out before you, instead of stubbornly denying your fate, postponing the inevitable? I see you wasted no time in making your decision. Like I always say, the stars are never wrong. Alas, even a lifetime of study and training cannot unlock all the secrets written in those stars. Myself, I have been a student of the astronomic arts for more summers than I can count, and I still often misread the signs shown to me in the skies, though my readings are far more accurate now than they have when I attended the Anatheum in Charlian. Not the Charlian, mind you, the colony that once thrived in the Dravanian hinterlands. I can recall my time there like it was yesterday. The first 6 moons, I was not even allowed to touch the Deca 60, let alone conduct a reading with the major arcana. Most of the time was spent with the scriptorium transcribing old tombs on astrological fundamentals such as the 6 elemental houses, divine duplicity, class triplicity, house modality and polarity, dignity versus detriment. I abhorred the task and would tirelessly pester my instructors to when I might actually be granted the opportunity to weave a spell or perform a reading. It wasn't until the end of the 6th moon that I realized all the transcribing has prepared me for the essentials I would need to do those very things. The positions of the celestial bodies within the 6 elemental houses, and the relation to the major and minor arcana of the Deca 60, therein lie the secret to tapping the ethereal power locked in the heavens. And soon, you too will become privy to these secrets. But not this day, no. I would not have you transcribe musty old tombs like I was once forced to do. No, the task I have for you is much more interesting. You see, I am expecting the arrival of a very important guest. My old mentor from the studium has agreed to make the journey from the old world to Ishgard and speak with the Holy See regarding the implementation of Charlian astrological techniques in city-state defense. Alas, the professor and his party are now fully 7 days late in arriving, and I have begun to worry for their safety. I should be much obliged, therefore, if you would inquire of the astrologians here in the Athenaeum if they have heard aught. Why would Lord Janicuar think that I have information on the whereabouts of a handful of unbelievers from across the blood-bind sea? I'm an astrologian, not a fortune-teller. I cannot simply look at the stars and scry the location of the Viscount's guests. Unless his guests are dragons, that is. I suppose if anyone knew aught, it would be the Observatorium. We here at the Athenaeum are but students dedicated to research. Those with any influence our field are assigned to the astroscope. Let me guess, the good Lord Geniquard said he saw you in a vision and that the stars told him that you were to study Charlian astrology with him? Am I close? You must be the 100th of his little pests to pester me this week alone. I harbor no ill will towards ignorant unbelievers, unlucky enough to find themselves caught up in talk of stars and fortunes, but you may tell that sorry excuse for an Astrologian, for the umpteenth time, that I have heard naught concerning his imaginary friends from faraway Charlian. Just do not tell the Viscount I called him a sorry excuse for an Astrologian, all right? Geniquard is still waiting for word on the missing Charlians instead of actually making an effort to find them, is he? Of course he is. Is it any wonder that in nearly 15 years since his return from Charlian, his skill in astromancy has remained unchanged? Ever wonder that he has never yet managed to convince a single peer of the value of the Charlian school? He is a privileged little sprat who spends more time gazing at the stars in young maidens' eyes than actually trying to read the ones above his head. All right. You tell the poor man I just returned from the observatorium and one night at the communal feasting hall happened to overhear Chief Astrologian Forlamont speaking with one of his aides regarding Charlian. He was visibly upset, and I wasn't about to risk my career over something I care so little about, so I merely put my head down and ate my beet soup. But that is all I know, and you did not hear from me. Master Forlamont? And I thought this day could not get any worse. Oh, no, I'm not suggesting that meeting you in any way has been unfortunate. It's just, that it might not be in our best interest to see together as of yet. There are certain people in the sea who do not approve of my studies. Couple that with the fact that you're an outsider and an unbeliever, and, well, people may come to the wrong conclusions. We must act with caution until we can prove that our intentions are just and for the good of all Ishgard. So, I must ask you to travel to the observatorium alone and meet me there. Tolucc, allow me to apologize again for not accompanying you here. As for our business with the Chief Astrologian, you may leave the talking to me. Geniquard, I might have known it would have been you. Who else would be so indecent as to drag an outsider into this holy place of observation? You've always had an unhealthy obsession with the foreign. 'Tis why you are as worthless to the Athenaeum now as you were when you returned from that heathen city a decade and a half since. But the stars, they can serve us in other ways than merely revealing when the Horde will attack. Their powers can be tapped. The Aether within can be used for... The Aether should be left alone. Has history taught you naught about the folly of the Nimians? The Amdabori? The Maki? Mine uncle, the Charlians have been wielding astromancy for ages without disrupting ethereal balance. This power, combined with Ishgardian astrology, could be what is needed to turn the tide of this 1,000-year conflict. Moreover, I have reason to believe that our masters at the Vault agree, as they have given me their blessing to continue my research. I did not come to trade barbs with you, Nuncle. Let us save that for another time. I'm here because it has come to my attention that as you may have information as to the whereabouts of Professor Mace and his party from Charlian. For someone who says he's not here to trade barbs, you have been quite generous in your dealings of them today. If it means that you will leave and allow me to return to my work, then I'd be more than happy to let you know what information found its way to my desk just yesterday morn. Serpent Reaver sightings and foul weather prevented the professor's ship from entering the Strait of Melthor, where they would have made their way up the Maiden and into Querthus. After detouring around the south of Vilbrin, they finally disembarked at Vesper Bay, where they took the land route along the Royal's Allian Sunway to the Black Shroud. It is there, it seems, that they lost their way. A lost Astrologian. Ha! It is as my morning reading predicted. Dalamud was in detriment, and the House of the Spire was ascending over the Epic. Tolucc, you must journey to the Black Shroud and assist Professor Mace. Allow me to introduce you to Quimperin. He is my personal manservant and shall accompany you. He is not one for conversation, but his sword arm is amongst the best in all the pillars. He should see you safe if any danger were to befall you, and something tells me danger lurks on the horizon. It is a pleasure to serve you, my lady. I shall make haste to Quarry Mill and await you there. My lady, I have questioned the residents of this hamlet and learned that a party of queerly dressed outsiders passed through not but a bell ago. It should not prove overly difficult to find them now, but before we begin, might I ask a moment of your time? I would not dare utter aught if ill of my master, but his recent fixation with finding a protege, I believe it is ill-considered. This passion, however pure, has left him with more than one enemy within the astrological community. Lord Forlamont has seen to this. I fear not only for his name might be sullied, but for his life. I beg of you, pray do not drag him any further down into this quagmire. Let him quietly dabble in his dream and let it remain at that, a dream. No good will come of encouraging it. It'll only hurt the Viscount and his family, and you must remember that while I serve Lord Genequard, it is his uncle, the Count, who employs me. Now, as for the task at hand, I suggest we find the wayward travelers and hurry back to our respective earths. I shall lead. Might I ask you to take the rear and see that none might take us unawares? These are the Charlanes we seek, and it appears they have found themselves some trouble. Unhand my grandfather! Ah, feisty. We'll fetch a fine price for that one from the pleasure barge, captains. The soul has spoken. Grab the old man. These wizard types carry them on all manner of begemmed baubles and golden trinkets. Up, or I'll toss you to the snakes. You want to see the old man again? You leave us the girl. Try anything and he's dead. Wait. Grandfather's soul crystal. Why would he leave it here, surrendering any power that he might have had to free himself from those bandits? Unless you were the one he saw in his reading before we left the old world. But that was more than a moon ago. My grandfather scryed from the cards that he would serve as the bridge for countless souls to be passed to another. Might you be that other? These men of the forest are careless. Tracking them will be no difficult feat. I shall follow and strike before they have any time to regroup in numbers. The stars have spoken and laid their path not before you, but before the adventurer here. You must take the soul of Astrologian and place it near your heart. Listen to the tales of those who walked before you and know their journeys as you do your own. As for the tools you require and the knowledge needed to wield them, I, Levana, shall see to those matters. You saw that there was no fear in my grandfather's eyes when the bandits took him. This is because he has come to see you and to his rescue. Our lives were written in the stars long before we trod upon this land. It is not by chance that you stand here today with the soul of the Astrologian in your hand. It is fate. Lavava waits patiently for you to pull yourself together and equip your grandfather's soul crystal. Now listen carefully, for we haven't much time. The star globe which you hold is both your sword and shield. It'll grant you strength as well as protection, but most importantly of all, it'll grant you insight into the current location of the stars, enabling you to channel the heavens' aether into your body for use in all manner of magics. The better attuned you become with the heavens and their maleficent and benefit bodies, the better the aether might be manipulating to bring succor or pain. But you already know, the star globe is not the only tool an astromancer has at her disposal. Yes, the arcanima, or more specifically the 6 major arcanima, play a defining role in what the Astrologian you will become. Any layman will tell you that the cards can predict a man's future. This is both true and untrue. It is not the future that a card predicts, the card is influencing the man so that a certain future becomes more attainable. Seeking to tell a man's fortune, you draw a card from your deck. Upon reading the card, you scry that man will be more victorious in a coming battle. What is it that brings this man his victory but aether trapped from one of the lower 6 heavens, granting the man strength, making it all that much easier for him to overcome his enemy? Of course, what card is drawn is linked directly to a target's destiny, as well as yours. Are you the one that will see this man to fortune, or will you lead him to downfall? It all depends on your reading. Normally, I would not dare cover so much in a first lesson, but it is my grandfather who has placed his life in your hands, and I am not about to watch him have his throat slit because you cannot tell the face of an arcana from its back. We have 2 seemingly capable soldiers here to take the brunt of the bandits' blows, allowing them to carve a trail of carnage while you convince the stars to nudge the 2 in the direction favorable to my kin. I understand this must be a lot to digest, but if you are ever to become a capable astrologian, you must believe in a path laid out before you and in your power to read it, follow it, and ultimately control it. Take some time to acclimate yourself to your new abilities and let me know when you are ready to begin. I see in your eyes that you're ready. Whether that actually makes you ready or not, only time will tell. Time, unfortunately, is something we no longer have in abundance. Let us take to the shadows and find out where these bandits are holding my grandfather. May the stars be our guide. I was not told there would be 2 Astrologians. Enough of this. I'm Quiperain. In the employ of Lord Jenniquard, I was sent to escort you back to Ishgard. Are you in Hort, my lord? Jenniquard, you say? And where's my former student? His constant pestering is one of the reasons I agreed to make the long trip from the old world. I see none but Quiperain in this adventure. I too have seen no other. Just like you didn't see those bandits until their knives were up our arses? That is of no matter. It was all what the stars had foretold. Yes, I saw the adventure long before even setting foot on this accursed continent when the Arcana whispered and told me I would find a worthy successor of my soul crystal. And having witnessed how she eased into her new role, but mere moments after taking up the crystal, globe, and deck. Yes, I knew at once my reading was true and that this adventurer was the Astrologian I had been seeking. But now, let us see if she has the potential for greatness within her. Look to the skies, Tolucc, and there you will see 6 stars aglow in pale yellow. This is the bowl. This constellation is thought to be the gate to the first heaven, the heaven which holds the world tree, planted by the matron and nurtured by the keeper. The world tree is the source from which all life is said to have sprung. The trunk of the world tree, or the bowl, grants strength to the weak, allowing them to stand firmly in the face of adversaries. You have now opened the gate and its power is yours to command. A solid bowl represents a solid foundation. It is not coincidence that this very constellation has risen to mid-heaven at this very moment, the moment of a new Astrologian's birth. And to think, I saw all of this a moon ago. It seems I am a better reader of fates than I thought. Ha ha! But I jest. It has been a long journey, with more than its share of unexpected excitement. I'm an old man, and one does not need a deck of Arcana to see that my weary legs will not carry me much longer. Let us make haste to Ishgard, so that I may give that ungrateful Jenniquard a proper upbraiding. Jenniquard, 15 summers passed, and still the flipping cold I lost half of my hair tutoring. Sending an adventurer to find the man you summoned halfway across Hydaelyn. Always taking the easy route, and you wonder why you still haven't been able to open the second heaven's gate? Allow me to explain, Professor. You see, I was waiting here in case you made it to Ishgard before my manservant Tolucc could locate you. Think of the confusion had you arrived only to find the anathema empty. Wait, how did you know I haven't opened all the gates? My grandfather is the greatest astrologian in all of Sherlian. There is naught he doesn't know, unless he doesn't wish to know it. You of all people should know that. Perhaps I was hasty in my decision to remain here and see to your training. Train me? You? But what of Professor Mace? Isn't that why he made the journey? My grandfather has already completed his task. He simply came to Ishgard out of courtesy to an old pupil, one who it appears he wasted years on. Wasted? What are you implying, my lady? Ah, my dear Lilava, you still do not see it, do you? Without Jenniquard stumbling into my tutelage nearly 2 decades past, he never would have taken this adventurer under his wing and sent her to us in his stead. It was all as the stars had planned. Your soul crystal? Professor, this adventure has stolen your soul of the Astrologian. Ha ha ha, ever the unobservant, John. If this adventure had stolen my crystal, Lvava would have read up some terrible fate for the lass. No, Tolucc is my successor, something I mistakenly thought you might be. But even I cannot see every future, it seems. But do not despair. I have not given up on you completely. Despite your failings, you have tried your best to promote the Astrologian school of astrology here in the Den of Fools, who fail to see aught and all beyond the Dragon Star. I wish to see you continue that fight, and that is why I bade Lvava to remain here and further your, and this adventurer's training. I see. This is all rather overwhelming. Might I have some time to consider your words? No, you either continue your training with me and your protege, or you crawl back into obscurity. I shall give you both several turns of the sun to study the basics of Shirley astrology. It should not be so hard for you, Jenniquard. Considering you've had a substantial head start, once you have committed the basics to memory, then return here. In the meantime, I will be traveling Eorzea, searching for locations where Tolucc and you will unlock the remaining Heaven's Gates. But you were only recently set upon by bandits. Perhaps traveling alone so soon is unwise. Don't you think I know that? That is why you'll be lending me the services of your able manservant, Quiperain. I will? I will. Yes, of course, Lady Lvava. Anything for the granddaughter of Charlemaagne's finest professor of astrology. Quiperain, you heard the lady. Very good. Now I shall see my grandfather to the airship landing. But before we depart, let me teach you of the diurnal sect, so that you may learn to wield the power of those stars which are aligned with the sun. Jenniquard believes you and he are ready for the next step in your training. Greetings, Tolucc. The stars tell me you have been rigorously following Lvava's training regimen, though I harbor doubts that go out and do things while I trapeze around the realm constitutes a regimen. She is all we have, so I suppose we have to make do, and as the stars would have it, she has just sent word that she is ready for us to attempt the opening of the second Heaven's Gate. You are aware of the 7 heavens, are you not? There are just the 7 realms of the underworld, so too are there 7 realms of the firmament. Each of the first 6 represents one of the basic elements: earth, ice, water, wind, lightning, and fire. The 7th and final heaven representing the elemental's astral polarity. The first 6 heavens are represented by the 6 constellations, with each revolve around the pole star. Astrologians of the Charlemaagnean school draw on the aether contained in the celestial bodies represented in the constellations by unlocking or opening the gate to heaven that the constellation is correlated with. There is no actual gate. Think of it more of as a portal to the soul. You're opening your mind, allowing for attunement with these distant bodies, much like one attunes with an aetherite, but on a far grander scale. Now this may come as a revelation, but Heidelin is not flat like most believe. It is in fact a sphere so large that when we walk upon it, it only appears to be flat. Because it is a sphere, there are also locations better suited than others for observing certain constellations. That is what Lvava is doing right now, finding a location in which the next Heaven's Gate will rise to a position directly in midheaven, where it will be the easiest to attune with. And it seems she found one, near the final prayer in Eastern Thanalan. Here at last. I see bandits have kept poor Quiperain busy, harrying our camp since we arrived. I do believe the old man enjoys the excitement, however. I'm certain it beats wiping the arse of a noble brat whoring away his uncle's fortune while dreaming of becoming a real Astrologian. I am very well capable of wiping my own arse, thank you very much, and Quiperain has never once complained about his duties. Of course he hasn't. Your uncle pays him to smile and nod, and I'm sure a comfortable position in the pillars beats chasing after cloud rats and broom to flavor his soup. Are we here to trade banter, my lady? Because I was led to believe we'd be unlocking a celestial gate. You'll find Crimprain has many good uses, and I haven't the faintest doubt that he will most aptly handle all ruffians who happen to come stumbling upon looking for prey. Now, Tolucc and Jennicard, we must be patient and wait for the constellation to reach its highest and brightest point, a point at which its flow of aether is the strongest in relation to Hydaelyn. There, Tolucc, the balance. Focus on the constellation and attune to its power. The balance represents the heaven of fire, a realm made prosperous by the blessing of the traders, but at the same time, one whose equilibrium is maintained by the divine judgment of Azayema, the warden. Azema's might will empower those who would take up their blades and meet divine punishment in the name of the sun goddess. And thus has the balance burned crimson in your heart, unlocking the gate to the second heaven. Now, let us beat ourselves to our next location. Little amigo? Why soon, you ask? Why, you rather that I have you commit yourself to another several moons of using malefics to put down hedge moles? I thought not. Be patient, Tolucc. Allow the stars to make their ascent into midheaven. Once they have, survey the skies and let the power run through you. Raise your eyes to the stars and witness the violent glow of the spire. In the third heaven rises an iron tower of spinning gears and taut springs constructed by the builder himself. It is assailed without cease by the jealous Rhalgr, but the destroyer's mighty levin bolts only serve to power the spire's clockwork soul. It is through the blessing of both creation and destruction that strength is granted to she who sees her stars rise under the sign. And now you have opened the gate, and its power is yours to command. Using the arcana to draw upon the powers of the stars they represent, this path we walk as Astrologians is called the Royal Road. It can be treacherous and fraught with peril, but it can lead men and women to greatness. Your realm is quite the paradox. On one hand, it is full of life, magic, and wonder, one of the richest lands in all of Hydaelyn. On the other, it is literally brimming over with strife. Take little Alamigo, the wretched souls displaced from their homes by the flames of war, or Ishgard, mired in its own pointless conflict with an enemy so old it does not even remember why it fights. The foolish believe it is their fate to suffer, and so they turn their gaze away from the stars, when those self-named stars have the power to show people there are many paths. But that power can only be channeled by the few, those like me and you, and to a lesser extent Jennicard, and it is our duty to use that power to benefit those who remain lost or misguided. Remember that, and maybe one day you will truly become my grandfather's successor. That is exactly what I've been trying to tell the Astrologians of my home nation. Why disregard something that has the power to grant succor to the wounded, the power to uplift the downtrodden and strengthen the weak? The answer to that is easy. Empowering those without power lessens the power of those who already have it. Heal the weak so they might rise up and topple those who made them weak? Why would anyone in a position of power to do that? Even our great nation of learning is corrupted by this manner of thought. We hoard our knowledge so that we might remain the brightest. Why do you think that it took so long for Professor Mace to visit you, Jenniquard? Yes, I know that he told you, but that it was not the whole of it. Those of the ruling quarter did their damnedest to stand in the way of my grandfather, worried that his passion for his field would kindle widespread interest in Charlian astrology. They only allowed him to his recent trip, knowing that he was too old to do aught of the sort. Fortunately, the ruling quarter did not realize I would be accompanying my grandfather. Tolucc, these past turns of the sun have been most fruitful. Yet while you have opened the half to the heaven's gates, there is still much of what we would like to refer to as the royal road ahead of you. Take what you have learned here in the southern deserts and transform that knowledge into strengths. If you wish to know more of the royal road, I suggest that you discuss it with Jenniquard back in Ishgard. If my grandfather is to be believed, his time transcribing tombs back at Studian scriptoriums should have left him more than capable of handling that task. You wish to know more of the Royal Road? I seem to recall it had something to do with reassessing the attribution of an arcanum before reading it, which would result in a slight alteration of the predestination. Or perhaps it had something to do with the kings and queens of the minor arcana? It was over a decade ago. Jenniquard appears slightly distressed. Speak with the Astrologian and to learn if aught is amiss. Are you doing well, Tolucc? Well then, that at least makes two of us. I cannot keep such important news from you, Tolucc. Lady Lavava and Quimpernain, just last night, they fell victim to another ambush by hands of bandits. The ever-resourceful Quimpernain proved his invaluable worth once again with dashing display of chivalry that would shame any knight in the sea, a statement that attests to the sorry state of our knights. But that is a chat we can have over a different cup of tea. When Lady Lavava attempted to retire to a room in that filthy inn in Broom, I had our sorely disused second floor cleared and furnished with trappings from my own home. She's up there now and asked to see you the moment you arrived. Wait, you don't seem at all surprised to see me here. Did Jenniquard tell you of the attack? Damn that fool. After I told him to keep his mouth shut. Though I suppose I must bear some of the fault for ever thinking he could do as he was told. Now, I suppose you are wondering why I summoned you here to these makeshift chambers, and no, it has not to do with the bandit attacks. It appears are much more common in your realm than I thought. There are times when the heavens may provide with a vision of future that is slightly beyond your original aim. In these cases, the stars are not flawed, only out of order. So by shuffling a card back into the deck, we are no longer ignoring or denying a future, merely postponing a reading intended for a later date, and replacing it with something that better pertains to the present. I trust that you will pick up this technique swifter than Jenniquard. Lavava appears to be fully recovered from her ordeal with the bandits and is ready to continue your training. Are you ready, my people? The gate to the fourth heaven awaits. However, the location I have chosen for attunement will not remain the most optimal for long. You are to travel with Jenniquard, and I will make the journey with Quimpernain. There are no objections? Good. If it is Lady Lavava you seek, She just left with Quimperain for Limsa. If you make haste, you may still be able to catch them at the airship landing. Me? As much as I would like to indulge myself on the pillows of Rotano pleasure barges, there's a congress to be held at the vault, and all the prominent houses have been summoned. My presence at such an event would be sorely missed, so I fear this next lesson must needs proceed without me. I'm certain that Lady Lavava will understand. I can always open the third gate another day, or was it the fourth? Third or fourth, it is of no matter. The stars certainly will not be going anywhere. My lady. The Lady Lavava is missing. We disembarked the airship together, but became separated in the chaos at the landing. Seeing as how the lady has found herself the victim of bandit attacks twice since arriving in Eorzea, I fear she may be targeted once again, especially considering the location. This is my first time setting foot in Limsa, but I have been made aware of its landmark. Might I suggest we search independently so that we might cover more ground? I shall start with several of the seemingly more disreputable locations, such as the Drowning Wench, the Astrologian, and the Missing Member. Would milady be so kind as to search Fisherman's Bottom and the Coral Tower? Let us meet at the Seventh Stage once our survey is complete. "20-odd summers since I spilled from me ma's loins, and ain't once I ever heard the word Astrologian. Now in the span of 2 bloody bells I've gone and met myself not one, but an honest-to-goodness pair of live-star goppers. Didn't see why the other fair-skinned lass buggered off to. Ones as that, though, oft end up in pleasure barges, if you catch my drift." Another Astrologian? How odd. It's not often that even our city-state, known for its diversity, welcomes a single reader of the stars through its gates, let alone 2, and in the same day no less? Yes, I took a few moments from my duties to speak with her about the city-state. She seemed quite interested in our dealings with the Sahagan, the Serpent Reavers, and the Garlean Empire. I told her what I could, but she left only after a few minutes. It was as if she thought she was being pursued. But the Charlatan was gone before I could assign her a yellow jacket escort. I seen me a stuffy lass in a rum garb poking her lovely head in holes where it weren't wadded. 'Tis rare we get one so worldly down in the gurgling belly of the tower. I had to halt training to work out what the fuss was about. The maid inquired as to where she might find herself a nip or 2 of some of the strong stuff, so I pointed her in the direction of our resident apothecary, Caravan, or at the Seventh Sage. Lady Tolucc, I bear good tidings. The Lady Lavava is scheduled to return here within a matter of bells. It seems she entered a contract with Caroline for the purchase of several of the apothecary's wares. An interesting girl, that one. Very rarely do we see young maidens walk the Lemensin streets without escort. and almost never do they come to me seeking, spice. Still, she did appear quite uneasy, as if being watched or followed. Suspicious, I must say, not uncommon in our fair city. Might she be in some manner of trouble? Those few who agreed to speak with me at the Drowning Wench and the missing member claimed the same. My short stay on the Astrologian bore no fruit whatsoever. What are you able to find, my lady? I see. So we have ascertained that the lady is being followed and that she is aware of the fact. If that is the case, I believe she will attempt to move somewhere she'll be in plain sight of as many people as possible. I doubt that'll help in this town. Kidnapping and killings are conducted in broad daylight here, and when they happen, most people just keep their heads down so as not to have them removed from their shoulders. 12, damn this town! My lady, I shall set out once more to try to locate Lady Lavava. There is still a chance that she may return here on her own, so I ask that you remain in case she does. If she has not arrived at the rendezvous point by the time of her scheduled meeting with Caroline, then we shall both go to one of the locations that most populated after the sun's fall in Limsa, the Drowning Wench. It appears that your companion is tied up. Not literally, I hope. Perhaps you should head to the wench and see if she is there, like your friend believes, though I fear that if she did not make it that far, you may never find her again, at least not alive. Worry not, my starry-eyed friend. If by chance she were to arrive here after your departure, you have my word no harm shall come to her while she remains behind the seventh sage's doors. Lady Lababa, you have my apologies. It was my fault I allowed us to become separated. Do not blame yourself, Quiperain. I sensed danger at the landing, and it was my instinct to run, as ever I have. I forgot that I could trust you. Unfortunately, by the time I realized such, there was no sign of you, so I did what I could to blend in, choosing crowded places, speaking with as many locals as possible, though all while feeling there was unseen eyes watching my every movement. By the time I realized that my pursuers were simply leading me away from you, night had already begun falling, giving them the perfect opportunity to strike. It was then that I witnessed several of the bandits had disguised themselves in garbs similar to mine. I assume that was to confuse the two of you still searching for me. It was then I conceived the idea to play the part of the imposter myself. Why hide in the shadows when you can hide in plain sight? That was quite brilliant of you, Lady Lababa. May I ask, were you at any time able to discern who your pursuers were? The amount of effort put into your capture would suggest they're no more than mere pirates looking to sell you for slavers. Unfortunately, no, and I wasn't about to walk up and ask them who they were or who had hired them. But that is all behind us now. Let us see if we can salvage something from this horrible night. The fourth gate ascends nearby. Tolucc, shall we not see it made yours? To the anchor yard. Well, I'll be a barnacle and a kraken's arse if it ain't the star-gopping lassie come to scry us of our fortunes. Tell us, which one of you'll be dying first like? The beat red knight with the carp in his codpiece, or the stern-faced venturer on her high hobby horse? Gods damn it, how many pirates are in this godforsaken hell? Haha, lay down them weapons or I'll cut the old man a new grin under his chin. I cannot believe that actually worked. Nor can I, but then again, never have I fought someone so credulous. Now let us do as they do in their fear babes. You step over here, I let the man go. Easy peasy. Wait, I know you. You're the bandit leader who attacked Lady Lavaba's grandfather in the Black Shroud. Someone has a good memory for being so on in years. Well then, this changes everything. First off, I can simply drop this annoying pirate accent, and secondly, I suppose I can simply kill you now rather than after pretending to let you go once the lady has drawn close enough. Stop right there. Unhand that man or I'll have your head tarred on the prow by the galley by cockrow. First maniacal marauders, then feline fishers, and now the commodore of the Swiven Thalocrastic Navy. How many more gods in this machine going to drop on me? Until next time, Lady Lavaba. You have my apologies. I was a fool to fall for a bandit's trick. Amazing. In all my years, that was the first time I've ever seen that feigned death trick actually work. But now is not a moment to be dwelling on our many failings. I have a dastard to apprehend. You'd be surprised how many other people run after being told to stop right there. Lady Lavaba, that pirate, she was the same bandit who... Yes, I know, and that changes little, for I still have no idea who she may be, or whom she may be working for. There's naught we can do until the Commodore brings the woman to justice, or until she decides to attack us again. What we can do is what we came here for, Tolucc's training. Now, look to the stars and behold the arrow. The fourth heaven, or the heaven of wind, was created atop a lofty peak by Ocean, the wanderer, whose footsteps have been guided by the navigator. The wind that blows off Lemelian's seas guides the arrow fast and true, and so it shall deliver the weary souls of those trapped in the mire of confusion, indecision, and over-contemplation. The fourth heaven has opened its gates, allowing you to access to its sacred Pentralia. From this day forth, its power is yours to interpret and wield. That power will further aid you as you continue to hone your skills. Now, let us return to Ishgard. I have a few words for a certain student of mine who felt inclined to forgo this particular lesson. Ah, Tolucc. You might have had the decency to warn me that Lady Lavaba was in a mood for not joining you. She seemed to think I was to blame for your misadventures. Now, why would that be? Is it as if my being there would have prevented the bandits from attempting to abduct Lavaba? These being the same bandits who attacked you in the Black Shroud, which, by the way, is another location I was not at. This is plainly something far beyond our control. And furthermore, it is not as if I was merely sipping cordials and waltzing with baronets. I was helping further our cause. I spoke with several high-ranking cardinals about Lady Lavaba's being granted the opportunity to speak at the vault regarding Charlian astrology. What do you think of that? I was politely turned down, of course, but it is the gesture that one day will lead another gesture, which will one day lead to head inclined slightly into the general direction of another gesture. Little steps, my protege, little steps. Genequinard appears to be motioning to you with his eyes. Why he doesn't simply call out your name is both disturbing and relieving at the same time. Greetings, your timing, my friend, is impeccable. For it just so happens that at this very moment I have need of your assistance. While our lovely Lady Lavava has been out making herself a target for every cutthroat and cur in the realm, I have been focusing on my efforts on our main objective. Training? Ha! There'll be time enough for training later. No, I speak of our ultimate goal of spreading knowledge of the Charlian School of Astrology throughout the Holy See. As you know, the Vault recently turned down my request to allow Lady Lavava to speak before them, but I'm not one to be turned away so easily. No, I have a plan. I will entreat Chief Astrologian Forlamont to draw upon an official recommendation. The Vault will do so quickly dismiss the words of a man of such standings. Yes, I know mine uncle loathes me with a passion rarely ever seen in the young lovers, and there is really no reason why he would aid our cause, being a staunch opponent of change and all, but that does not mean we cannot try, and if we fail, well, then we try again, and again, and again, until he is so annoyed that he writes us the recommendation simply to see us out of his thinning hair. And by we, I mean you. Considering how red the Chief Astrologian became the last time I visited him, I reason it would be detrimental to mine uncle's health should I arrive at his place of research, and we most certainly would not want him to fall ill or collapse before he penned us that recommendation. Who do I see disturbing me this fine evening but Genequinard's new scullery maid? I suppose you came here for this? Genequinard never ceases to amaze, does he? Not only does the lout have the nerve to ask me, for aid, but then he refuses to do me the common courtesy of accepting that aid in person. Ever the entitled little shite. More worried about his popularity amongst the fairer sex and how his actions disgrace his family's name. Ah, the slackjaw. I suppose you are wondering why in the world of all eye of people would agree to such nonsense? Well, it's simple. Allowing the heathen astrologian to dig her own grave in front of an entire vault in the Ishgardian astrologian community will only serve to accomplish what I wished from the very start. Charlian astrology has no place in Ishgard. It has no place in Eorzea. It has no place in this world. It is dangerous and it serves no purpose but to take our eyes off what is truly important, using astrology to free us from the dragon menace and ensure man's return to Halone's kingdom. The Vava's dithering will only make it that much clearer. And Genequinard, perhaps this will finally spell his downfall. He has only been allowed to continue this nonsense because he is harmless, too caught up in the luxury of being in line to Count Dudogair's title to actually put forth any real effort in furthering his, cause. Charlian astrology is but an oddity which he can boast about at balls to get him in bed with slatternly maids of lower houses. His father has protected him thus far, but allowing him and this lady to speak, there'll be no brushing under the rug. The shame this brings forth, Genequinard will be finished. Inform me right away Chief Astrologian Forlamont has denied my request for a letter of recommendation, so that we might begin working on our next request. Is this... It cannot be, is it? The seal of Forlamont's? How did you... What did he say? No, wait. Mayhap it's better that I don't know. Well, this changes everything. I'll have to arrange another meeting with the Vault. Summon the Cardinals to Dudier Manor. We will need wine, and sparrow-stuffed pheasant, and pheasant-stuffed goose, and goose-stuffed chocobo, and bards, whole troop, not to eat, of course. No, I fear I will no longer be able to join you on Lady Lavava's next opening of the gate. Do give her my regards, though, when you see her in Mordona. For once, we were not the bandits' targets. We came across this young woman as she was being dragged into the hills. Though we drove her abductors away, I suspect they have already mustered the courage for a second attack. It is a good thing that you arrived when you did. This girl claims she is a student at the Anatheum, and recently overheard Janequinard mention we would be conducting another gate opening in Mordona. She journeyed here on her own in hopes of having the chance to witness your astromancy firsthand. I say we give her something to remember. You have my apologies, Lady Lavava. I did not think. Your only fault was an insatiable thirst for knowledge. A realm where one must apologize for being victim is no realm worth living in. But why would those men attack me? I believe it is now quite obvious that these bandits were not meant for you, but for me. It would seem that certain parties fear the spread of Charlian astrology and will stop at naught to prevent it. My Charlian constellation chart, the bandits, it must have been torn when they seized me. Here, you may take mine. I have the stars committed to memory. I don't know how I'll ever be able to, but I will think of something. Just you wait. I will repay this kindness tenfold. Lady Lavava, you mentioned something about certain parties wanting to prevent the spread of Charlian astrology. Have you any idea who they might be? I do, but I shall require more proof before I can be certain. You and Tolucc should be able to assist me with that. However, as they say, first things first, we have a gate to open. There, the ewer. Focus, Tolucc, focus, and let the constellation's aether twine with your own. It is said, through the fifth heaven flows a mighty river carrying the water spilled forth from the scholar's vessel. And in that water is the strength of all that have come before and all who will follow, thew spun from Nemean's loom, thew from which might in metal is weaved. And now the power of the ewer is forever yours, and forever shall it point you to victory. While I cannot forgive our patron for skipping yet another of his lessons, I cannot deny that the passion hidden deep within all his posturing may have its uses. Word of our field is spreading, and our inherent nature has begun to stir. Curiosity is proving the better motivator than skepticism and faith. Our time may come soon. Do not tell me. Lady Lavava was tagged again. I knew it. And without a reading, my talents grow by the day. What is this you claim? A fellow Astrologian was moved by my words and went to witness the unlocking? That's amazing. I wonder who could have been, though. I would certainly recall speaking in detail with a young, supple, mind. I must find this woman and hold another, special lesson with her. Lesson? That reminds me. Lady Lavava asked me to teach you a new technique before you head to the open Fifth Heaven's Gate, which you've already gone and done. But it appears you were able to overcome your ordeal without it. Yes, that's exactly according to my lesson plan. You still wish me to teach you the technique? Very well then, though I do not really see the point. Genequinard is nigh ready to burst with excitement. Make the Viscount wait any longer and there is certain to be a wardrobe malfunction. Lady Lavava tells me that you are nearly ready to open the sixth and final gate. Yes, I said final. We all know there are 7 heavens, but opening the 7th is impossible. Well, except upon death, of course. An attempt to attune to the pole star would be sheer madness and most certainly spell your doom. But look at me. Even now, attempting to tutor the great Tolucc, when it's obvious your talent far surpasses mine. Forgive me. Lady Lavava has yet to depart for the location of the final gate. Doubtless she fears yet another bandit attack, but whatever the reason, she remains on the 2nd floor and has asked that you visit her at the earliest convenience. You have come far since that fateful day our paths first crossed in the Black Shroud, and now here we are, on the cusp of your attunement with the 6th heaven. Time truly waits for no woman, does it? Before we set forth on this task, I wish to teach you of a second set of stars, the nocturnal sect. The nocturnal sect contains those celestial bodies ruled by the 2 moons. I say 2 because since the dawn of astrology, disciples of our field have used read-aloud in their readings. Now, even after the false moon's fall, its position, or should I say its absence, yet has influence over our fates. Whereas the sun and the diurnal star represent the self, expression, and active, and the moon and the nocturnal stars represent the unconscious, the passive. Read-aloud represents and still does represent the uncontrollable. Its power has the ability to quicken the senses as well as provide added protection from the unknown, things beneficial when pursuing one's fate. Lavava appears anxious. It might be in your best interest not to keep her waiting any longer. Now that you have knowledge of the 2nd sect, I believe you are ready to attune with the final constellation. The location of the next lesson is actually not far. I assume your travels have taken you to Camp Dragonhead? Excellent. I, as always, will go ahead to make my final readings. If each of our previous outings are any indication, the bandits which harry us will most certainly jump at this opportunity. So I'd have your Quimperine scout the area ahead of time, and report any suspicious activities to the knights garrisoned at the camp. Let someone else bloody their hands for a change. I say, feel free to tell Genicord of our plans, though I do not doubt he has already had some of his own. Lady Lavava has already departed? Well, then she must have leaped from the window, for I did not see her use the front door. I dare say that means that we'll be traveling alone? Of course I'll be attending. Why wouldn't I? Tolucc and Genicord? Well then, it appears giving my constellation map to that Astrologian in Rathfrost was unwise, as my readings for the location of the sixth heaven have proven to be slightly off. However, a second calculation has shown that we were close. The optimal location lies just to the north of here, in a derelict tower known as the Still Vigil. You've the look of the learned about you. Might I ask if you've seen this star map before? It was on the person of an Astrologian who came to us seeking help after being attacked. That is my map, the one I gifted the Astrologian in Rathfrost. Do you mean to tell me that she was set upon again? Your map? Well, then I'm going to have to ask you to accompany me for questioning. The Astrologian claims she was wrestled this chart from one of her assailants before escaping their grasp. Lady Lavava, why would you assault the selfsame woman you risked your life saving? Because she did not, my lord. Why would you even think something so foolish? This must be some sort of misunderstanding. I was present at this assault. We saved the young maid, which you speak of, from a party of bandits, and Lady Lavava gave her a constellation map to replace the one damaged by her assailants. My Lady Tolucc here was also witness these proceedings. Well, we have our own witnesses who say otherwise, so until we can have a trial and an adjudicator who can pass his judgment, this Lavava will have to come in for questioning, for she herself has admitted her map is hers. It's all right. I've not to hide, and arguing here will not bring us any closer to the truth. If anything, I wish to confront this woman who would bring false accusations against those who saved her life. Very well then, take me where you will. I shall answer all your questions, and you will soon learn who is spouting falsehoods. My friends, you need not worry overmuch, for I shall be in the company of temple knights where no harm might befall me. I will return once I have proven my innocence. No harm, quotha? That knight was the self-lame Astrologian who we saved in Mordona. The Astrologian who now claims we attacked her. Are you saying the Astrologian was a temple knight? No. Listen, my lord. I'm saying the Astrologian is no more an Astrologian than she is a knight. I'm saying we have been played. We've fallen victim to a ruse that has landed Lady Lavava in the hands of those who have been attempting to kill her since she set foot in Eorzea. Then, you're saying she won't be safe in the presence of those temple knights? Those weren't temple knights, my lord. However, they were wearing the color of our knights most heavenly, and if we were to assault them near the heavenly garrison Camp Dragonhead, we'd be stuck full of arrows before anyone asked us why we even drew our blades. No, we must shadow Lady Lavava's captors and wait for an opportunity to take her back. How exciting! Can I take point? No? Of course not. Just as I expected, these fools have led me straight to the answers I've been seeking since my arrival in the backwoods realm. And if I'm not mistaken, my trusted companions should be arriving right about... now. I'll be taking this. The moment you lift off in that airship, the whole land will know you are not the true Temple Knights, and you'll be made to answer for your crimes. Once we're in the air, it'll not matter what anyone knows, you fool. We'll not be returning once we have slain you and your friends. No one shall stand in the way of my fate, especially not some dog's body of the Forum. Of course I knew the Temple Knights were false. I recognized the Astrologian we saved almost immediately, and I find it insulting that they believed I would not. I also knew that they would lead me to the true prepper traders if I played along, fully aware that you loyal three would follow. And I am pleased that you also knew that we somehow would crawl our way out of that little tussle with our lives, because I was uncertain for the most of the journey. Well, I was certain Tolucc would make it, for the stars have already told me she would unlock the 68 here at the Vigil, and at the very location we ended up, despite our unexpected ordeal. Your fate, Janet Guarnard? Well, I never bothered reading it, for I thought that you would skip the lesson and the like you have every other one. Tolucc, gaze upon the night sky and open your soul to the final constellation, the Spear. The spear is the gate to the sixth heaven, where the Fury resides in a palace of ice carved by her own spear, ice formed of moonbeams collected by a lover, Menfina. The spear fills us, not only with the power to overcome our enemies, but also the compassion that is necessary to grant those same enemies mercy. And now that power is yours, to see directed to those whose fates require it. It is done. You have attuned yourself to the six lower heavens, and now that you know their strength, the true journey begins. You have my congratulations, Tolucc. What has taken me more than 15 summers to accomplish, you have done, and more in a matter of moons. But our time together has taught me that, despite what we may believe, we all have our roles, and each role is just as important as the other. Without taking both Quimperain and you under my wing, you would never have saved Lavava from her assailants. Meaning, in a way, I saved Lady Lavava. Not that I am one to take all the credit for such heroism. Nor shall I take credit for this missive that would never have been discovered were it not for me taking you and Quimperain under my... that cold stare. It befits the godforsaken place. Point taken. Let us break the seal and see what we... Why, this handwriting. I have seen it many a time before. It's my uncle's. But that would mean... It would mean that the highest-ranking astrologian in all of Ishgard has been attempting to assassinate us. If the tribunal were to hear of this, he would be hanged. And a hanging will only earn us another ill-tempered Orthodox astrologian unwilling to open his eyes to the benefits of our discipline. No, we can use this missive to our advantage. As long as this remains in our hands, so too does the chief astrologian. Are you saying we use this missive to blackmail Forlamont? I am saying we merely grant the chief astrologian his life in exchange for a little assistance in furthering our just and noble cause. No more, no less. I see. You're quite the deviant, my dear. Very well. I will summon mine uncle to the Astrocope. There we can present him with our offer. Why must you insist on pestering me, Jenna Quinard? I gave you your letter, now leave me be. Ah, but that would not be the only letter you have written lately, would it? Perhaps you recall a certain letter to the Forum? A letter carried by a party of less than savory characters who attempted to kidnap Lady Levava and deliver it to the Charlians, not to mention kill me, my manservant, and my good friend Tolucc here, who you may have forgotten is currently an honored guest of House Fortemps. A letter drawn up and signed by none other than you, Nuncle. Oh, but do not presume to misunderstand us. We will wish you neither to disgrace nor your death, at least not at our hands. In fact, we wish very little from you, not, you might say, in the sense that you are to never again use your influence to hamper our efforts at spreading Charlian astrology here in Ishgard. Involve yourself no more in the affairs of me or my guests, and your secrets shall remain safe. I will even forgive you for trying to have me murdered, if, that is, you give me your word. It is not as if you've left me with much choice. You have my word, but know that silencing me will not make your nonsense any more accepted in the vault. There are others who will see you fall, others who care little whether or not I speak my piece. We are fully aware of the peaks we have left to scale. However, we shall not let that discourage us. I have been shown a path that I altogether plan on walking, and the stars shall guide my way. The stars foretell many things, my dear, and not even the best readers can see them all. Do not forget this. So we have silenced him. But to hear him tell it, he was the least of our worries. Which is why we must strengthen our own bond so that we might stand united in our cause. Sinistry, to use a term taught to me by my grandfather. By temporarily enjoying your fate to that of your companions, they will reap the star's benefits as you do. Master this technique and hold our enemies have over us will surely weaken.